Senadina got remmed. It's a sad tale. Hey, at least Sena's not in a coma, right? Oh gosh darn it! In the last few videos, I revealed that the Seven Shus is all a facade created by these two who are actually sky people. But today, I'll reveal that some of the other Shus may have more to do with this situation than we originally thought. Obviously, Chapter 3 EX was a lot, so I want to talk about that as well. Let's go! Let's start with the obvious one. I think Senadina has something to do with Kiana's coma. Ever since Kiana embraced the Kakuna finality and became a goddess, she's been having a peaceful life up on the moon without any problems for 6 years. Until Senadina came along and the next thing we know she has a problem and can't wake up? Kinda weird. Am I saying she's evil because she has something to do with Kiana's coma? No. Of course not. She's obviously one of the good guys. I'm just saying if Sena does have something to do with it, there's probably a reason for it. Let's talk about the twist. We found out that the entirety of Oxia in Songque is a quantum computer, and besides Dreamseeker, Helia, and Coralie, everyone else is an NPC. That's what we assume, but is that really true? One of the things that was revealed was that Dreamseeker has actually tried to save Songque and Oxia multiple times. Obviously, that would mean she did something differently because she succeeded. We can pinpoint that to be the dream that she had. Without it, she couldn't warn Baiji that Perception was the bad guy and she'd fail again. Just one problem with that. Baiji created the dream and not her. How exactly did he do that? That was never really explained. It's almost like he had something to base that dream off of. Before she explained the dream to him, he said, "Who was it that killed me?" So he did have a vague premonition that he was going to die, but couldn't nail down the specifics. Just like Dreamseeker had a vague sense of deja vu when she met Songque for the quote-unquote first time. I don't think Baiji's an NPC. I think he is like Dreamseeker, a sentient piece of data that exists in the computer but also knows what's going on. My main reason for thinking this is there were multiple attempts before this one, implying that Baiji never crafted the dream in previous samsaras. If he is just an NPC, this would make sense because aren't NPCs supposed to do everything the same? That's how they work. One of the first theories I ever did was that Baiji and Senadina had a connection. Looking back on it, it's kind of sloppy because all I did was say, this box is Baiji's treasure, but this box also appears with Sena, therefore they're connected. I'm revisiting this theory because there's a lot more that I have discovered, such as Sena potentially being in grave danger. I just told you about the box, so we're going to skip over that and go to an anecdote titled Aurora. In the last video, I proved that Ajita was the one who gave Baiji the Zodiac astral ring. But this anecdote contradicts that. Baiji shows an astral ring to Ajita and she acts surprised like she doesn't know what it is. Furthermore, it's described as a star with a brilliant glow and that it takes the form of a ring. That doesn't sound anything like the Zodiac astral ring. It sounds like this one. Baiji's talking about this ring. How? He says it fell into his hands, but he never explains himself, and for now, we don't know why. The only time we saw this astral ring in the story so far is when Goddess Senadina gave it to us. So can you blame me for thinking they're connected? The biggest thing that happened in Chapter 3 EX is Sena gets forgotten forgotten by everyone but Dreamseeker, as well as not appearing in any of the terminal's records. This immediately makes us question her existence in the computer and reality. Let's switch topics for a second and discuss Lantern Against Shadows. This is an event where Tsavorae, Helia, and Coralie go on an adventure. You can argue the validity of what I'm about to show you because it's an event, but I think some things we hear are canon to the main plot, like this scene at the very end where Baiji comes to lecture both Helia and Coralie. At first, I couldn't make any sense of this, but now I can. Especially the end where he says, "I will not hurt either of you. I will only take memories from both of you. I hope that you will never meet Tsavorae again." Okay, so it sounds like he took away the memories of an entire person from both Helia and Coralie's minds. That's cool, I didn't even know he could do that. Wait, that sounds familiar.
セナってセナディアだよ。
Is this a stretch? Maybe, but considering he's the only one we know can do this, he's the only suspect. Plus, I already have a suspicion that Baiji isn't an NPC, so I can't really shrug this off. Why is Dreamseeker the only one who remembers then? Is he just taunting her? If we look back to the event, he made Helia and Coralie forget who Tsavorae is. Helia and Coralie are two real people that exist, unlike Dreamseeker, who's just sentient data. Perhaps he can't use this power on data, so he just settled on using it on them. May, Bronya, and the rest don't even know about her since she's not in the terminal records. But what if she is in the records, and this is just an illusion conjured up by falsehood? He always talks about creating false truths, and with his power, the line between truth and lies are blurred, so this could be possible. Take a look at this scene. We just found out that Sanchi's alive, everyone is really joyous and relieved, then this cute CG happens when everyone is looking at Dreamseeker with hope and love in their eyes. Everyone except for Baiji. He's looking towards Sena. That's not creepy at all. This happens right before the simulation ends and everyone forgets her as well, so that's kind of suspicious. After my last video, someone asked me, since Plan B succeeded, what happens to Baiji now? Theoretically, he should search for the next source of energy. One of the first theories I ever made was about Senadina. Not this one being a Kakuna finality clone. I won't go over the details again, I'll just point you to the video. If Senadina is a clone of the Kakuna finality, it must have taken a lot of energy to make this clone. Uh-oh. What if Senadina is the next source? Thelema's distaste for Baiji is pretty apparent. He belittles him, calls him boring, they have a feud going on, and is concerned about her safety when he goes off on his own. Yet, when she first joined the Seven Shus, she calls him the most interesting person she's ever seen and happily agrees to join him. So what caused this drastic change? It could be because she realized who Baiji truly is. When Thelema and Seraphim are talking about her shadow ailment, she says she's not a fan of being a servant in someone else's hands. A servant is always a servant. Why would 100 years change that? Then it says that Thelema was hinting at something else, but chose not to name anyone. Someone else, huh? Who else would be a tool in someone else's hands and is a servant? She's talking about Baiji. She might even know about Ajita by the sounds of it, and honestly, I'm all for this. Ajita dominates Baiji and Thelema will dominate her twice as hard for trying to take her power. You go, girl. Don't take my word for it though, take hers, as she literally calls him a fake in this scene. No matter how elaborately disguised, a fake remains means a fake. It sounds an awful lot like Thelema knows about the Seven Shoes being a cover-up. Baiji doesn't even care that she knows either. He states, ever since the day you accepted this, haven't we all known it deep down? Baiji knows that she knows, and he's also saying that everyone else subconsciously knew it as well. Let's talk about these five for a moment. In my last video, I stated that Baiji and Ajita used their determination to defeat the shadows to their own advantage. But it's not just determination. It's a desire for fame, a desire for pleasantries, a desire to make everyone happy, anything that would make them say yes instantly without thinking twice about it. They used personal desires because personal desires are only human nature. By the time they think twice, they're already trapped in what they think is their safe haven, so yes, maybe later down the line, they will all figure it out. Thelema was just the first one to realize that this is all bullshit. Okay, so Thelema knows the truth. So what? Plan B has succeeded, so does it even matter? Yes, actually, because Thelema might be the savior of Langchu. You've heard of the astral rain. You've heard of the zodiac astral rain. But have you heard of the ecliptic astral rain? Yep, there's a third astral rain. It's only mentioned once, but that's enough. It is described like it's the most powerful one. It can reshape authority and subvert the world, and it fell from the sky, which makes me wonder if this is also an advanced piece of technology from the sky people. It's also broken. These astral rings tend to do that. Thelema has this in her possession, so it's no wonder why she takes shots at Baiji without any care in the world. It's because she can overthrow him on a random Tuesday if she wants to. She's power fluid. An example of subverting the world would be if Thelema wanted to be feared and listened to, and then all of a sudden she gets those exact powers out of seemingly nowhere. Oh, that's what that was about. I owe Thelema an apology, because that is actually so dope, but I'm also scared and want you to get the hell away from me. That's not it though, because she also says those powers are inscribed in the 12 houses. What are the 12 houses? Is that another group of people? Come on! You're getting predictable, Honkai. What's next? The 10 stone hearts? Luckily, we have a document that gives us some information on what the 12 houses are. The full name is the Zodiacal 12 houses, which is interesting, but not what I want to focus on. I want to focus on these names. Do they seem familiar? They should, because they are the names that Goddess Enadina mentions to Kiana in the prologue. I hope that the bubble universes sheltered by the 12 constellations can create a new future with their own hands. Is Thelema one of these 12 constellations? One of the saviors that was delegated to this specific bubble universe? If so, is Thelema a fake name? Because what the hell is this? Bet you didn't expect to see Tsavorae here, did you? We seemed to learn everything about her. What else is there? One of Tsavorae's quirks is that she's constantly in debt. She has to watch herself because everything can get her deeper into debt. It will take forever to pay back, even without interest. It's played off as a funny joke, but we quickly learn that her creditor is Ajita. The natural question that follows is, why does Tsavorae owe Ajita? But that's not the biggest question. What I'm more concerned with is the length of time in which she's had debt. At the end of Fragment of 8 Consciousnesses, Tsavorae says she's been owing Ajita for over 2 millennia. For those who don't know, that's 2,000 years years. I hope you can see the discrepancy here. The Seven Shoes weren't a thing 2,000 years ago. Plan A wasn't even done 2,000 years ago. So what the hell? What deal goes on for 2,000 years? Why has it gone on for this long? Why has it been going on before the Seven Shoes existed? You're telling me Tsavorae is actually 2,000 years old? At least the 1,000-year-old woman looks like an adult this time. Kudos to Songque for that one. This also confirms that Ajita is over 2,000 years old as well, which kinda proves some things from previous parts because she's a lot older than everyone else. Let's go back to this anecdote. We've determined Baiji's talking about this astral lane and that Ajita also knows about it. At the end of the anecdote, he talks about his plan to create a human god. This is an important detail because now we have the clarification that the human god plan he talks about has nothing to do with the zodiac astral lane, it has to do with this one. So tell me why, when Baiji gives Tsavorae the zodiac astral lane, Tsavorae asks if he succeeded with that plan. Baiji says no, he failed, and you know the rest. But why is he talking about this with Tsavorae? If she knows about this plan, does she also know about this as well? All of chapter 2, we're trying to escape Tsavorae, who's trying to kill us. At the start of the chapter, we get this scene, which is pretty straightforward, but there's some interesting stuff here. She says she can kill the cast herself, but she needs his permission to do it for some reason. She's destruction. She can just kill them outright. Why does she need the power of someone else? I got a comment on my last video that told me about this event called Starry Voyage. Again, you can argue the validity of this statement because it's an event, but it has to deal with the sky people, so you tell me. People from civilizations the sky people invade can strike a deal with them in exchange for them feeding the sky people energy at regular intervals. They will cease attacking. It's also a way to save other planets and civilizations from their wrath. Joanna explains this as collecting debt with high interest, and I find it really fascinating that this circumstance can be phrased in this way because that is exactly the situation that Tsavorae is in. Did she make a deal with the sky people? She and Ajita did make a deal 2 millennia ago, which doesn't make any sense with the story of the Seven Shoes, and it's hinted that she's working with Baiji. 2 people who are allegedly sky people. There's too little information for me to be 100% sure that this is what's going on, but it's a possibility to consider. I covered this beginning conversation in another video, but I want to talk about it again. Like I said earlier, Dreamseeker gets this random feeling of deja vu when she meets Songque for the first time, which we now know is probably because of the previous samsaras. She also says we're destined to die, which now has a new meaning, because how does she know that? She goes on this rant about destiny and fate, and then she asks if she can alter our destiny. Our destiny of the previous samsaras, perhaps? Songque was the one who vanquished the shadows, so she did alter our destiny. Add her to the list of non-NPCs, because I'm suspicious. Speaking of suspicious, is anyone else still confused as to why she acts completely differently in the scene compared to all the rest? She's confident, kind of playful, and dodges around the point, speaking in these nonsensical riddles. Then she just disappears and comes back later as the clumsy Songque we know today. I also haven't forgotten about the glowing eye thing from the first look. What the hell is that about? You guys may say this is nothing, but I'm going to ask you a question. Can you picture Songque as we know her today saying these lines? Last but not least, we need to talk about how the quantum computer and the Dreamseeker terminal operate, as well as the ending, because so much stuff happened all at once. All of Langchu and Oxia was a simulation in a quantum computer that May and Prometheus found on Mars. That's where May and the rest found a Dreamseeker, as the Dreamseeker terminal is connected to the quantum computer. Kiana went into a coma at the exact same time Prometheus found the computer, thus May and Bronya believe they are connected in some way. They believe if Dreamseeker finds a way to defeat the Shadow Calamity, Kiana will wake up. But we did, and she's still asleep. Which means either two things. They have this completely wrong and the computer has nothing to do with her slumber. Maybe she ate too many instant noodles and crashed. Or the Shadow Calamity wasn't the only thing wrong with Langchu and Oxia, and there's another layer. I think it's obvious to all of us what that is, but for now, the characters are oblivious and they don't know which one of these two it is. That is until Dreamseeker goes into the quantum computer again. She enters what seems to be the same Oxia, but it's actually very different. Dreamseeker's having memories of Sena that she doesn't remember, Shinzu doesn't recognize her and arrests her, and most importantly, the anchor is gone. For one, I haven't put a lot of thought into these memories. I think they are just memories that Dreamseeker hasn't unlocked yet, and she will know about these in the future. The anchor of Apocalypse being gone is weird though. Itsugiru had the inclination that since it was gone, this was the past, and there's actually a lot of weight to that theory, because the anchor of the Apocalypse was made 100 years ago, right after the Great Eruption hit to split up the two worlds, and obviously people didn't move it, because look at this thing. It's not there, which leads me to believe this is 100 years in the past. Which also implies that the Great Eruption hasn't even happened yet. That's not all though, Chenzu doesn't recognize her. Why is Dreamseeker getting arrested here? Didn't Chenzu do this earlier to Helia, and Dreamseeker said, "That's mean, prank Chenzu. How are they supposed to know term 22 doesn't exist?" I call foul play, and I want to see a law book immediately. Dreamseeker is getting arrested for a law that doesn't exist. Or maybe the law existed 100 years ago, and it doesn't now. I believe Dreamseeker is in Oxia 100 years in the past, which leads us to the obvious question, why would the quantum computer send us to a version of Oxia 100 years in the past? I'd like to think of the quantum computer as a video game. We beat the Shadow Calamity after such arduous trial and error. The quantum computer recognized that and sent us somewhere different. If the Shadow Calamity was stage 1, she's now in stage 2. I think our next objective is to stop Vegeta and Baiji, because Plan A and Plan B also took place 100 years ago. They are clearly the next layer to all this. If stage 1 was the Shadow Calamity, stage 2 would be the Baiji Calamity, trademark. That's right, I'm naming this whole incident after him. I don't care if Vegeta's higher in power. Baiji's kind of an ass. There's one more thing we have to solve before I wrap this video up. Why the hell is Vita with us now? Continuing on with the game analogy, along with advancing to the next stage, the quantum computer also unlocks stuff that wasn't available before. Dreamseeker got some of her memories back, as well as +1 Vita. Thank you so much. This is the best gift ever, no matter what Dreamseeker says, and we will take good care of her. She can now occasionally keep us company, and while I'm certainly not complaining, I'm very curious as to why the quantum computer now allows Vita in with Dreamseeker. It must be for the objective, right? But Vita has absolutely nothing to do with Oxia, Langchu, or the Seven Shus, unless Baiji and Vegeta really are sky people, in which case the only person that can help us defeat Saw's former cleaners is a another former cleaner. Even though this Seven Shu story arc is over, we still have a ton of questions. Baiji and Ajita are still a complete mystery to us, and even the other 5 members we thought we discovered everything about had this whole extra part to their story that we were completely oblivious to. Which kind of makes you question, did we even learn anything in this arc? No, what we learned was the elaborate disguise that Baiji and Ajita set up for us, and we fell for it hook, line, and sinker, as well as only surface level information about all the other shoes. There is a way more sinister story here that we all missed, and now that Dreamseeker is 100 years in the past, we'll learn more about Plan A, the birth of the 7 shoes, both Baiji and Ajita, and many more details so that we can finally find out the truth about what the hell is going on here. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. This is the end of the trilogy. I won't make a part 4. I didn't even intend to make a part 3, but things just lined up perfectly. I hope you enjoyed not only this video, but the entire trilogy. Let me know your thoughts about it in the comment section down below. If you liked this video, consider subscribing for more content like this, and I will see you in the next video.